Hey, what's up guys? It's Cypher from cypherpk.com, and today I am going over the ESO patch notes version 3.1.0 on the PTS. These patch notes just dropped a couple days ago, I think, on the PTS, and I heard a lot of different things about this patch. I heard a lot about proc sets, but I don't really have too much information about it. So this is going to be the first time I'm reading over this patch, and I'm going to give you guys my feedback and opinion based off of what we see. So this patch is called Horns of the Reach DLC game pack. So this is like the next quarter expansion DLC for the Elder Scrolls Online. So as usual, we're going to go over the patch notes, but we're not going to go over every single detail. We're going to mainly focus on, item sets, PvP balance, and overall combat changes that have happened in this patch. I'll leave the PvE stuff for the people who are more qualified. So welcome to the Elder Scrolls Online version 3.1.0. This update comes in two parts: the DLC game pack and the base game patch. The base game patch will be available to everyone who owns the Elder Scrolls Online, and the DLC game pack will automatically download with it, allowing you instant access to the new content when you purchase it or activate an ESO Plus membership. Interesting. Okay. Anyone who owns an ESO, has an active ESO Plus membership, will automatically have access to Horns of the Reach DLC game pack. In this update, you'll be able to explore and conquer two all new 4-player dungeons. These are the 4 dungeons. 4-player. Okay, so 2. Sorry, this is confusing. 2 new dungeons, and they're 4-player dungeons. So groups of 4. I thought it was like. I read the 2 as TOO, and don't worry, I dropped out of college. Like, I deserve this. Okay, so 2 dungeons, 4 4-player dungeons, 2 of them, Bloodroot Forge and Falkreath Hole, something. These dungeons offer new item sets, monster masks, achievements, and unique rewards. Okay, so we're getting, I guess, 2 new monster masks. So we also added a new Battleground map, Arcane University, and a new mode for Battlegrounds, Chaos Ball. Both of these are available to anyone who owns Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind. You'll also find that we've added several new medals to support Chaos Ball. So I'm glad they're adding new things to Battlegrounds, and so they're adding a new map and a game mode. And I kind of have an idea of what Chaos Ball is going to be about. I assume it's something similar to Oddball from the Halo days. But again, like I reiterated in my last video talking about Battlegrounds, I think Battleground matchmaking is something they should definitely shift their focus to, and then also bringing in competitive or custom Battlegrounds into the mix so that communities can create their own Battleground tournaments, and it will, harvest a competitive scene around Battlegrounds, or just implement competitive Battleground queuing where it matches you with other players near your skill level. Personally, I think the easier route is to go with custom Battlegrounds, where you can form your own Battleground matchmaking, because that will allow, it's easier on ZeniMax, and then it also will allow the community to customize it however they want and create tournaments and a competitive scene around that. So that's just my opinion on it, but we'll see if there's any extra information regarding Battlegrounds in this patch notes, because there's a lot to go over. Some extra stuff here: bankable RIT vouchers and bankable alliance points. Very good. We've been asking for this for a while, so that's going to help people who play with alts. Okay. We've added a new separate combat and gameplay section to the patch notes, so it's clear which changes were done in an effort to improve balance and which changes are bug fixes or minor improvements. Cool. So this is the table of contents. This is what we're going to be looking over, but obviously we're going to focus mainly on the combat and gameplay and some of the fixes and stuff like that. Let's get into it. These are the dungeons. If you want to go look over these, feel free. New collectibles, new item sets. Okay, so let's look at the new item sets. There are 8 new item sets available from the 2 new dungeons. Each dungeon has 1 light armor, 1 medium armor, 1 heavy armor, and 1 monster mask item set to acquire. These are a set of CP 160 So okay, here we go. The light set is Max Magicka, Magicka Recovery, Healing Done. When you deal damage with a fully charged heavy attack, you create a circle of consecrated ground that heals you and your allies within 5 meters for 11,000 health over 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So this is a healing set. I'm not really a healer, so I don't know if this is actually good or if it's useless, but it's a healing set. That's all I know. Pillar of Nirn. Max stamina, weapon critical, weapon damage. When you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create a fissure underneath the enemy. After 1 second, dealing 2,000 physical damage to all enemies within 2.5 meters and causing them to bleed for an additional 8,000 physical damage over 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So the values seem kind of low, but maybe it's because this is just base values and it's not boosted by any form of like max stamina or weapon damage or anything like that. 10% chance to create a fissure underneath the enemy after 1 second. So obviously I would have to get in game and test some of the stuff out to see if it's worthwhile. But from what I'm reading, 1 second is more than enough time for somebody to react if there is like a chance to react to this and get out of the fissure, and that might make this bonus a little useless, but I don't know. And it also has a decently long cooldown, 10 seconds. So I don't know. It could be useful, but you got to compare a set, right, to the other 5-piece sets that are available for medium armor. And there's a lot of useful 5-piece sets for medium armor that might make this set not so relevant. So, but obviously I will have to get in game and test this out. Iron Blood. Max health, physical resistance, spell resistance. When you take damage, you have an 8% chance to turn your blood into pure iron and gain major protection for 10 seconds, reducing your damage taken by 30%. But your movement speed is reduced by 75%. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. This is like a really, really tanky set. Gives you damage reduction, but it also reduces your movement speed significantly. So it lasts for 10 seconds. The effect has a 15-second cooldown. So if you're constantly procking it, you'll only have a downtime of 5 seconds. It has an 8% proc chance. I'm not very familiar with ganking sets. I'm not ganking, tanking sets. So I wouldn't know how this would fare up against the other sets. So we'll see. It seems interesting. Now this is the monster set. Max stamina, max magicka. When you deal damage, you have a 15% chance to create either a ring of fire or a ring of molten earth around you for 10 seconds, which deals 1,000 flame damage or 1,000 physical damage every 1 second. Standing within the ring grants you 200 spell damage or 200 weapon damage. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. On first impression, it seems a little underwhelming. So it has a decent proc rate because it's 15% and it's when you deal damage. So I assume it can proc on dots, single target attacks, things like that. But then there's also like a toss-up. Like you could either get flame damage or physical damage. And if your CP is boosting your flame damage, then it's a bonus when it gets flame damage. But if your CP is going for physical, then it's a bonus when it's like that. Maybe if this went based off of your max stats, like if your max magicka was higher than your max stamina, it would always be flame and vice versa. Because like you get, like, let's say you're not really built for physical damage, you get the physical damage proc, and then you're kind of stuck in that for 10 seconds. But you do get also a bonus 200 spell damage or 200 weapon damage. Again, when you're looking at a set, you can't just look at the set by itself. You also have to compare it to how it does against other players. Not other players, other sets, other monster sets. So you'd have to compare it to that and see if that's useful. Now I see this more as a PvE set because it gives you damage over time and it also boosts your spell damage and weapon damage, which is in general more useful in a PvE environment. But how does this set compare to Scoria, to that one other set that like shoots meteors from the sky or whatever? I forgot the name. But that's how, like, I don't know. People will obviously do DPS tests and see if this is worth it. Bloodroot Forge, Flame Blossom, Max Magicka, spell damage, spell penetration. It's a little rare to have spell pen as a 4-piece, right? The only spell pen set I can think of right now is Spinners, and it's the 5-piece bonus. So having spell pen as a 4-piece, that's interesting. I don't know if there's too many other sets that have that, so this is definitely a valuable stat to have. When you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to summon a line of flame that moves forward, dealing 8,000 flame damage to any enemy in its path. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So okay, so this automatically like tosses like this set out as far as PvP is concerned, because anything that's gonna be moving in a very like telegraphed line is usually reserved for PvE purposes, because NPCs aren't programmed to avoid incoming damage, things like that. So unless this thing moves really fast and it's like instant, like you lock somebody down, you proc this and it instantly pushes forward, that could be useful. Like I can see a Dragon Knight using Talons, locking somebody down, proccing this set, and if it comes out from right in front of them and it hits them, that's good. And this could be useful in that scenario. So I mean, I don't want to immediately throw it out for PvP, but it could be useful depending on how easy it is to hit the flame and also how fast it moves and how big the radius of it is. So definitely interesting set. You can see it being used heavily with DKs, mainly DKs because they're really good at staying in front of your opponent and locking them down with dots, snares, roots, making the set easier to hit. I'll get on and definitely test this as well. Blood Drinker, weapon critical, weapon damage, weapon critical. Increases the damage you deal with bleed damage over time effects by 20%. So this is like a dot boost. So I wonder how this 20% compares to just a raw weapon damage increase from like automation or Hundings. Hundings probably compares better just because it has almost the same bonuses as Hundings, I believe. I wonder how this compares, like a 20% damage boost compares to just increasing your weapon damage by a raw value. I'm sure that 20% is more. So this is more for a dot-oriented build. Maybe it could be useful in PvP. The problem that I've seen a lot is dots aren't that effective in PvP. For the most part, single target raw damage is usually more reliable, especially like if you're going against people who can negate your dots or have Templars to negate the dots for them, it becomes an issue. And usually burst damage is what prevails in PvP. And I don't think this would be enough to make dots more relevant in PvP, but I can definitely see this being a decent PvE set. Now somebody's telling me that bleeds go through shields now. So that's very interesting change. And if that's the case, then I can see this being a little more useful against those Magicka builds. Okay. All right, so this is Hagraven's Garden, heavy. Max health, health recovery, healing taken. When you take damage while under 50% health, you summon a preservation of nature around you for 5 seconds. Any damage you take from enemies outside of the preservation is reduced by 50%. And the first time an enemy tries to enter the preservation, they are knocked back 5 meters. This effect can occur once every 45 seconds. Whoa, this is interesting. I gotta reread this. When you take damage while under 50% health, you summon a preservation of nature around you for 5 seconds. Any damage you take from enemies outside the preservation is reduced by 50%. So I assume the only way that the enemy can avoid the 50% is by entering the preservation. But if they enter it the first time, they get knocked back 5 meters. And there's a 45-second cooldown on that. So this seems interesting. It seems pretty damn useful in PvP scenarios where this could proc and you have people hitting you from range, whether it's with projectiles, snipe, things like that. The knockback having a 45-second cooldown, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I think, like, so let's imagine this in a PvP environment. Let's say you're getting attacked by like 3 or 4 people, right? And one of them comes in and gets knocked back, but then the rest of them can just jump into your preservation, and I assume that 45-second cooldown is in effect, so it can only knock back one person. But you don't want it to be able to knock back everybody because that'd be a little too powerful. But who knows? Who knows? Like, how does this compare to the other heavy set, which gives you 30% damage reduction, but also reduces your movement speed? This, in a sense, also reduces your movement speed because the only way to keep your damage reduction is to stay in the circle. So it's not like a direct snare, but it kind of indirectly snares you, and it gives you 50% from people that are outside, but then people could just jump in after getting knocked down. So it's an interesting idea. Like I like these weird sets because people always figure out unique ways to implement them. Now if it knocks everybody back, and like once you get knocked back, so I might be reading this wrong. This effect can occur once every 45 seconds. I think this is just talking about while you're under 50% health. That's actually, yeah, I think I'm wrong. I think this is actually referring to just the damage reduction and the preservation. Now, how long does the preservation last? Can it knock back multiple people? I think it does. And does it affect people who have CC immunity or immovable potions? So all those questions are in effect. Now, the 45-second cooldown is pretty long. Oh, so, okay. 5 seconds. This thing lasts for 5 seconds. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm bad at reading. Yeah, actually, the set, I don't see it being that useful because it's a 5-second set. So it's only 5 seconds, and it has a 45-second cooldown. So you're sacrificing a whole 5 piece for this, and it lasts 5 seconds out of 40, and like every 45 seconds, and it can be probably easily avoided using movable potions, things like that. All right, Earthgore monster. This is the second monster. Healing done. When you heal a friendly target that is under 50% health, you conjure a pool of quenching blood underneath them, which soaks up enemy placed effects instantly, so it's a cleanse, and heals all friendly targets in the area for 30,000 health over 3 seconds. This effect can occur once every 35 seconds. Okay. So this has a long cooldown. It's pretty powerful, but it has a very long cooldown, which kind of balances it out. Unlike that one set. Geez, I forgot the name. The one that gives you health recovery. Man, it's been a while. I really haven't been playing that much. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the chat. So let's look at the new Battleground game mode, Casval. Troll King. Troll King is the name. Troll King is the set name. So let's look at the new Battleground. New Battleground game mode, Casval. This is a new game mode is being introduced to the Battleground grab bag with Casval added into the rotation for all maps. This mode introduces a single ball in the game, and your team earns points by holding the ball. You can carry the ball around and use your abilities freely, and there are no other requirements for scoring other than holding onto it as long as you can. Holding the ball comes at a cost, as the Chaos Ball has a stacking, healing, and shield debuff, as well as pulsing oblivion damage to all allies in the area, including the ball carrier. There are no sigil of power in this game mode. The game ends when a team has scored 500 points. So yeah, this is kind of like Oddball, except there is a damage increase that, I mean, like you start taking damage, your healing starts getting reduced, and your shield shield buff starts getting reduced. And that's good because that prevents somebody from being like extremely tanky, just holding the ball and just sitting there while his allies spam heals on him. So, interesting game mode. We'll see how it goes when it's actually implemented. And there's a new map. Includes all game modes. So new Battleground medals have been updated to support Chaos Ball. You earn a medal for each tick. Okay, so that's all that's happening with Battlegrounds. And again, Battlegrounds, like the implementation of Battlegrounds, the game modes are good. The maps are actually really, really nice. The problem, I think, is the matchmaking currently creates for very repetitive and some boring fights to occur. Either your team is like too powerful, or the other team is not powerful enough, or the other team is organized and they're in a stack of 4 and you might not be that organized. You rarely have those matches where they're like very close and competitive. And I've played Battlegrounds like for a straight week or two when it first came out, and I felt like most of the games I was getting matched with either new players or players who don't do PvP, and the occasional times where you do get matched up with other groups of PvP players, it was like far and few in between. So I would really, really like either you implement some sort of ranked competitive matchmaking. Now, I know how difficult that could be to implement. It's not easy to get ranked into an MMO. It's not easy. Like, ranked in general always has a lot of changes that need to be done and adjusted. But I think the easiest thing they could do is to add a custom mode where you're able to get 3 teams, get them in a group, split them up, and start a Battleground queue. And that would immediately open up the opportunity for players to start getting more serious with Battlegrounds. For community leaders, guild leaders, tournament organizers to start like hosting Battleground tournaments, and players would start forming into teams and start, competing on that level. But right now, Battlegrounds feels very, very casual. I've been asking for Battlegrounds for a really long time. And I haven't been asking for Battlegrounds because I want just Battlegrounds. I wanted a competitive PvP environment. And we don't have that yet. Which is why whenever I do play ESO, I usually just hop in Cyrodiil. I don't go to Battlegrounds because Battlegrounds... Okay, so Cyrodiil is casual, but like Cyrodiil is casual. It's like a mixed bag. You're going to get different fights, different, outcomes. The variety in Cyrodiil is what keeps me coming back to it. You never know what you're going to get yourself into. It's very, very different every time. Battlegrounds, you know what you're getting into, and it's usually the same thing every time. But because it's casual on top of that, and it's not competitive, it feels repetitive and boring. So I really, really want competitive Battlegrounds. Whether it's done by just giving us the tools to do our own competitive stuff, I would love to host my own tournaments with the community and like get a commentating cast. Me and some veteran ESO players could commentate over people forming in teams and fighting and having a tournament bracket and doing like an ESO prize, whether we're giving away in-game gold or some like physical ESO object or something like that. That'd be great. Like, that would be absolutely great. It would boost community involvement. It would boost viewership both on YouTube and Twitch, and it'd be extremely fun. So, ZeniMax, custom Battlegrounds. If you can't implement the competitive aspect of it now, that's fine. Give the community the tools to do it, and we will do the heavy lifting. Like, I guarantee you, it's worth it. Custom Battlegrounds. Let people make their own custom Battlegrounds with their own teams and whatnot. So just wanted to get that out there. That's my biggest feedback I can give on Battlegrounds currently. So let's move on. Base game patch, guilds, crafting, enchanting, gameplay, itemization. All right. Champion point increase, 30 points. All right. Pretty standard stuff. Alliance War and PvP. All right. Some general fixes. Art and animation combat. Warden balance changes. Cutting die if this morph can now be cast while you are silenced. Oh, this was the stand morph, I assume. This morph can now be cast while you're silenced. Budding Seeds. This morph can now be cast even if you're an enemy targeted in your reticle. Okay. Nature's Gift. Crystallized Shield. Updated its ability in its morph's tooltips to indicate the maximum damage they can absorb from a single projectile. Warden bug fixes. Okay. All right. Crafting and economy. We're going through this. Housing. Justice system. Quests and zones. UI. All right. The Telvar Jewelry Lockbox. Merchants now sell rings and necklaces directly with no intervening box. These items are always champion 160 with legendary quality. Their cost remains the same, 100,000 Telvar stones a piece. As a result of these changes, these vendors are now known as Telvar Jewelry Merchants. So you can buy the Telvar jewelry items directly. You don't have to gamble for them anymore. Is that what this is? It's a good change, if that's what I'm reading. I'm looking for the juicy stuff. Where's the proc set changes? Combat balance. Adjusted elemental status effects such as burning or concussion. So now they scale with your max magic or max stamina. Burning now lasts 4 seconds and takes every 2 seconds. Poison now deals its total damage over 6 seconds. Okay, so they rebalanced these effects. Summon pets from abilities and item sets now move 10% faster. Dodge rolling now grants immunity to immobilization when it is used while you are silenced. Oh, okay, I get that. Dark Knight. Combustion. This passive ability now increases the damage of burning and poisoned by 25 to 50%, down from 33 to 66%. So they nerfed DKs. Dark Talons. This ability and the Choking Talons morph now deal magic damage instead of physical damage. Okay. Was it always like that? I thought they had like a burning... Oh, okay, so the Burning Talons was like the initial damage was always physical, and then it was... Okay, so this is a nice boost here for magic DKs. Not that it makes a... Did I say Dark Knight? I meant Dragon Knight. My bad. Wrong game. My apologies. Earth and Heart. Stone Fist. Let's see what... They've changed Stone Fist like 60 times over the past 3 years. And nobody uses it. Increase the radius of the heal from this morph to 28 meters from 10 meters. God damn. I'm definitely going to slot me some Stone Fist. I'm going to go Stone Fist everybody in Cyrodiil. Sorcerer. Storm Calling. Surge. This ability and its morphs now use your highest critical strike rating to determine their critical strike chance. Werewolf. Alright. Animation changes. Oh, Fire Rune is now hidden to enemy player characters. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Nice little change there. Buffs and debuffs. Major/minor defile. This buff now also decreases the enemy's health recovery, in addition to decreasing their healing received. This introduces more counterplay against health recovery builds or item sets such as Troll King. I like this change. I mean, I like it. Not that it's gonna stop like Troll King from being ridiculously overtuned, and I hope they made some changes to Troll King, but I still like it. It's good. It's a good change. Munda Stones. Munda Stone values and bonuses have been retuned with a focus on improving overall diversity. Almost all Munda Stones were buffed, with the exception of the Thief, which was slightly nerfed due to its overshadowing all other choices. The Lady was upgraded to grant both spell and physical resistance. The Lover was completely redesigned to grant spell and physical penetration to counteract the Lady and provide greater flexibility in stat choices. We've also standardized Munda Stone values against other systems that grant similar bonuses, such as enchantments or item sets. So you can customize the stats you care about in each system without needing to worry about weighing the exact values against each other. Munda Stones are now equivalent to 1.85x of an item set bonus. The Apprentice increased spell damage to 238. Okay, so they buffed most of them, nerfed some, which was the Thief. Okay, cool changes. I like it. In an effort to reduce the visual effect noise in group combat situations, we've hidden most visual effects from persistent damaging area of effect abilities cast by your allies. Okay. Hopefully that will reduce some of the lag in large scale combat. Yeah. Okay. Fix an issue where this ability and most were not displaying the visual effect if they were the killing blow on the enemy. So these are just bug fixes. Bug fixes. Itemization and balance. Weapon trait values have also been rebalanced with a focus on improving overall diversity. Almost all weapon traits were buffed with the exception of Sharpen and Defending, which were nerfed due to them overperforming. Prosperous was completely redesigned to grant a new combat function and will be an interesting choice for builds seeking to maximize resource recovery gains. Pairing the Divine trait with a Recovery Mundus Stone will grant more recovery for that particular stat, but Prosperous will grant more recovery overall. So do you still have to use Sharpen? Like is Sharpened still like mandatory? That's like the main thing, because I've run Maelstrom Arena like at least 7,562 times trying to get a Sharpened 2H. Still haven't gotten it. I have Infused, I have Defending, I have Nernhoned. I have pretty much every trait except Sharpened. So Decisive, increase the chance to generate one additional ultimate to 40% from 34. Defending, this reduced. Oh, that's a big reduction right there. Holy crap. That's a big reduction to the resistance granted. Infused, increase the bonus value granted to the applied enchantment to 30% from 20%. And increase the cooldown reduction to the applied enchantment to 50% from 40%. A lot of people in the chat are saying that Sharpen is still the best for PvP. So, that sucks. But, I mean, if it's the best by a little less, that's a win for me. Nernhoned. Increase the bonus to the weapon's damage to 15% from 11%. Powered. Increase the bonus to healing. Precise. Sharpened. Reduce the spell and physical limitation to 2.7 from 5. That's a pretty big reduction. And how is Sharpened still the best for PvP? Now, somebody's saying that Blobs tested Nernhoned and Infused, and it's on par, if not better than Sharpened. So, people will do more testing on this, and hopefully we'll get like a solid answer. Charged, Intricate, Ornate, and Training remain unchanged. The Prosperous Arbitrate has been redesigned to give it a combat function, and now it grants 11 health, magicka, and stamina recovery as a gold quality item instead of gold gain. Okay. Reduce the damage on the damage health oblivion weapon enchant by approximately 6%. 6%. Nice. People are still going to be spamming this enchant. Weapon enchantments will no longer proc if the initial attack is dodged. Oh, this helps quite a bit for the Nightblades. Because when you go into Cloak, technically you're dodging the attack. But sometimes the weapon enchant will proc and pull you right out of Cloak. So that's what was causing a lot of the Nightblades getting pulled out of Cloak. So this is a indirect fix or buff for Nightblades. So, item sets. Item sets have received 2 major rebalancing efforts in this update with a focus on introducing more counterplay. Okay. Alright. Universally adjusted the values of some 1, 2, 3, and 4 pieces. Max health, max magic, or stamina has been increased by 13.3%. Weapon critical or spell critical has been increased by 55%. Physical or spell resistance has been increased by 13.8%. Physical or spell penetration has been decreased by 22%. That's a nerf to spinners and other penetration sets. Any monster summoned by an item set proc now inherits any bonuses you have. The most notable are damage done and healing done from passive abilities, major/minor buffs. More cooldown, new meta. Bloodspawn. Decrease the amount of ultimate generated by this item set proc to 14 from 15. Rest in peace. It's over. It's over. Rest in peace, Bloodspawn. That's it's not bad. Still going to be used. Death's Wind. This item set now grants crowd control immunity to the enemy after knocking them back. As if anybody actually used this set. Seriously. Okay. Grothar. Decrease the damage of the set by 10%. Lambrus. Decrease the damage of this item set by 10%. Lord Warden. Increase the radius of this item set. I forgot what this one does. I don't really care. I'm pretty sure this one wasn't anything useful. But I could be wrong. Oh, it won't affect Spinner because it's a 5-piece bonus. Okay, so this only affects 1, 2, 3, and 4-piece bonuses. It does not affect 5-piece bonuses. Thank you, chat. What would I do without you guys? Where would I be? I'd be reading the wrong patch notes. That's where I'd be. Narineth. Increase the damage of the item set proc by 20%. Good for PvE. This is very easy to avoid in PvP, so it doesn't really change much. Night Flame. Okay. Poisonous Serpent. Increase the proc chance of this item set to 50% from 25, but decreasing the damage to 3,400 poison damage from 6,800. All right, Celine. This item set proc now displays a hostile telegraph to enemy players, indicating its area of effect. So it's still the same speed, but basically it shows you where the cone damage is gonna land, so people can get out of the Celine bear attack. But they're not actually changing the area of effect or the speed of it. And for the most part, most players, when they see the bear, they try to avoid it. They can dodge it. But it's a very fast attack, so knowing where it's going to land isn't... Like, you're probably still going to get hit by it for the most part. Because you react to the bear. As soon as you see the bear, you kind of have to dodge roll to avoid the bear. So knowing where the red is doesn't really help. Like, you can see it and hear it coming. I think red on the ground, I mean, it's nice to have red on the ground to know where the, you know, to know where it would go, but Silistrix. Increase the damage of this item set proc by 30%. Alright. Shadowrend. Shadow of the Red Mountain. This item set's proc now spawns a volcano that erupts after 1 second and launches a projectile at the closest enemy, instead of instantly dealing unavoidable damage. Yep, that's going in the trash. Anything that takes like a second or more to go off in PvP is going to be avoided. And it's a projectile now too. Yeah, that's going in the trash. Shieldbreaker. This item set's proc now only occurs once for each cast of lightning or restoration staff heavy attack. I hated those people. Read Shadowrend? Alright. Change this item set proc to occur when you take damage instead of when you deal damage. Increase the proc chance of this item set to 15% from 5%. The monster summoned by this item set proc now deals magic damage instead of physical damage. Increase the duration of the minor mayhem debuff applied by this. Okay, cool. This is like the pet, the little big thing you summon, right? It's interesting changes. I hated these people. I hated these shield breaking, like lightning staff, resto staff scrubs, and they're usually just like sitting in stealth. They see somebody with a shield and they just start channeling a heavy attack, proccing shield breaker on every tick of the heavy. Oh god, if you were one of these people, delete your character. Delete your character. Hated these people. Thankfully, this is being changed. And they were so useless outside of that. Like, they build to counter the shield, but then outside of that, they have a useless build. Slimecraw. Change the one-piece bonus to a double one-piece bonus of both weapon and spell critical strike chance. Oh, that's cool. This set might actually be very useful. I mean, it was already useful, But the health recovery wasn't extremely useful, but now weapon and spell critical. That's nice. Spawn of Mephala. Increase the damage of this item sets proc by 5%. And change the 1-piece bonus to max stamina instead of max health. Storm Fist. Okay. Swarm Mother. I remember this. I like this set. I made a video about this one. Decrease the cooldown of this item set to 1 second from 2 seconds. Man, I still want to go out there and get Swarm Mother and just troll people in Cyrodiil. Like, that would be great. What if you used Swarm Mother with what's his name? With like a warden? You know, you can put that circle that teleports people to you on your warden. What if you like pull them into that circle and then like they like you create a black hole because it's like pulling you and then it's trying to pull them back or something and then they just disintegrate. I want that in the game. Viper Sting. Oh, this is a big one right here. Or Veldrith. Let's start with Veldrith. This item set's proc now occurs offer after a 1 second delay and displays a warning visual on the set wearer when the proc occurs. Yeah, that's unfortunate for Veldrith. See, like I said, anything that 1 second delay, like you're gonna avoid it for the most part. But they didn't really, like, I stopped using Veldrith. Selene was the better option, at least for what I was trying to do. And it displays a hostile telegraph, but the telegraph comes out at the same time as the bear does, I assume. It doesn't give you any like warning beforehand. So Veldrith in the trash, at least for PvP. All right. Viper's String. This item set proc now deals its damage over 4 seconds instead of dealing it instantly. Ouch. It's now a dot. Damn. Put it in the trash. It's gone. No more Viper. No more Viper. Widowmaker. This item set's proc now drops a spore on the ground in front of you that explodes after 1 second. Throw it in the trash. Okay. I'm not even gonna read the rest of that. It's in the trash. That's some good changes though. Like Viper was a pain in the ass. So was Widow. So was Veldrith. But Selene's is still gonna be a problem. But now Selene's can't really, like, one proc set by itself is pretty powerful. But 2 or 3 together, that's when things start getting a little shaky. Now, I do want to say that I uploaded a PvP video where I was accidentally using 4 pieces of Viper instead of 5. And I was using Selene's. And I was still, like, dropping people left and right. So it'll be interesting to see what set I can replace Viper with on my Stamina Nightblade. Fix the rare issue where some item sets procs could critically strike. Okay, just some fixes here and there. All right, some fixes. All right, so we don't want to take too long on this video. I assume the rest of this is mainly housing, justice system, quest zones. I think we covered the main bulk of what I wanted to cover. So I do want to say, as far as balance is concerned, some pretty good changes were done to proc sets. There's still some proc sets that might be an issue. But for the most part, most of them were addressed. The new sets that are coming in don't seem extremely overwhelming or powerful, which is a good thing. It's easier. Like if they're a little underpowered, it's easier to buff them a little bit, and it's less of an impact. But if they're overpowered, then you have an issue where the sets ruin gameplay for however long it takes you to fix them. So the sets don't seem so overwhelming. Some of them do seem very useful. I know Tremor Scale wasn't affected. That's another set that might need some changes. But the thing is, a lot of people who use Tremor Scale, they use Tremor Scale with Viper. A lot of people who use Veldrith, Selene's, they use Selene's and Veldrith with Viper. Now there are replacements to Viper, and we'll see how it goes. But this is actually like some good changes in the right direction as far as balance is concerned. I like the Mundus Stone changes. I like the armor and weapon trait changes. Those are all nice. Reducing the gap between Sharpened and the other damage increase sets like Infused or Nirnhoned. That's good because Sharpened was such a must-have. Like everybody in PvP basically runs Sharpened, except a few people who are running unique builds for specific purposes. But good changes there. Now, Battlegrounds. I really want to get into Battlegrounds. I've been waiting for Battlegrounds for a long time. But it's too casual right now. It's too like, it doesn't mean anything. It's fun, and I enjoy it whenever I play it, like from time to time. Like I get on Battlegrounds, but I prefer Cyrodiil way more than Battlegrounds, and I've been asking for Battlegrounds for a while. Queues were fixed apparently, and that's a good thing. But give us either a custom game mode where we can make our own teams, or implement some sort of competitive matchmaking. Because right now it's too casual. And I know, like, I'm saying that as a competitive player, like somebody like who likes to play competitively. In whatever game I play, I always focus on the competitive side of things. It's just inherent. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Battlegrounds is great for the most part, and I'm just like a small minority that has the need for the competitiveness side of things. But I mean, maybe I am in the minority there, but it's still like that's just my opinion. Like I either want custom Battlegrounds where I can create my own competitive like teams, or some sort of competitive matchmaking. Because right now, like the leaderboards don't really mean anything. The leaderboards, you gain medals and points when you play, but it's like, are the top players really on top of the leaderboards, or the players who play the most Battlegrounds on top of the leaderboards? Like you have an Emperor situation all over again, where it's just like the people who play the most have the best chance of getting Emperor. The leaderboards don't really mean anything. Nobody's like really proud of leaderboard achievements or medals or whatnot. I don't feel satisfied when I'm like, oh, I got like a 10,000 DPS medal or something like that. That's actually really low, but like you got some DPS medal. That's like all meaningless to me and most competitive players. It doesn't mean anything. We need some sort of trophy to hold that you can hold and other people can't hold, and you have to fight over it. Like, who's going to hold a trophy? Who's going to have the title? Who's going to be the #1 team in Battlegrounds? The highest ranking players in Battlegrounds. And people aspire to go up. But right now, it's just like every game is meaningless. It starts, it ends, it's meaningless. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I like the game modes. I like the maps. I like the design. But there needs to be more weight into the BGs. Or give us the tools. Give us the custom tools to do that ourselves, to organize things as a community. People used to host tournaments, 1v1 tournaments, all the time. Before you guys implemented dueling, we were doing our own tournaments. Because we had the tools, in a sense, to implement them. So give us the tools for BGs. Give us the ability to do custom BGs. I guarantee you won't regret it. Or implement some type of competitive matchmaking into the system. So that's my feedback. Good changes so far. Good balance changes. Oh god, I can't skip that. We're gonna just have to sit through that. I thought I had it muted, but it's not. There we go. All right, so that's my opinions on this patch notes. Good balance changes. Battlegrounds need some attention, I think. Give us what I was asking for, please. I don't have the PTS downloaded, so I'll be downloading it overnight, and we'll log in tomorrow and check out some of the stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this. I'm gonna be posting this on my YouTube channel, or you're probably already watching this from my YouTube channel. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe for more content. My name is Cypher from CypherPK.com, and I will catch you guys next time.